Hi again, it's Vaughan in Nova Scotia. I've been working on the belly part of this with the heat gun drying behind it as I've been throwing or shaping, not throwing. The belly is sort of where I want it to be, but the neck is obviously still way too sort of wide. So this part will get trimmed, so it'll be a lot narrower in the finished piece because there's enough weight there to take the form down. And the top part just has to be thinner and finished like a large urn. So let's do a little bit of work on that to show you how I do that. Wonder if I can get you a little closer actually. Yeah, that looks like it's good. Hopefully anyway. So speed is important. We don't want it to There you go. So I have a sponge, so I'm trying to get the top part a little bit softer because this is the part that I'm going to be working on. And I'm simply trying to, with my fingers, narrow it a little bit by positioning just enough so it pushes it in without actually making it fold or buckle. I'm not going to take these too narrow because I want people, you know, it's a storage jar in the old sense. So people would generally be able to get a hand with a scoop inside these things. Alright, so it's narrowed it. Now I'm going to push it from this point in. And remember, this is actually, you don't want to rush this. You're trying to go up slowly until your fingers start to drag, and then you can let go a little bit. But you can see how soft it is because it's really wobbling at the top area there, but the bottom I've been drying, and I have my heat gun set up. It's just a paint stripping gun. If anybody was interested, you can probably see it in a few shots of this. And the top part is what I cut off the bat when the piece was up. This is actually upside down from the way it was thrown. So I'm going to trim that off in a minute because it's actually catching my fingers as you get the little irregularities. Give it a little moisture again. I'm trying not to drag it with my fingers because of the, and position your body so you're as steady as you can be. So I'm throwing a little bit of height, but I'm basically pushing in to try and get that neck like I have on the one behind me. Feel for the thickness too. If you feel like it's getting thin, because I'm softening this down again, remember, so it won't be able to hold as much form as it could when it was stiffer. Now I don't want it thin at the top either because remember this is actually, let's see if I can just, instead of cutting it off, I'll see if I can wet it and squash it down a bit. It's nice to think I don't have to cut it off. I may have to cut some of it off because it is a little irregular by the feel of it. But it's not doing so bad. When you're actually this large on pieces, it's hard to cut off regular shapes. Of course, you know, when you stick the pin through, you might wobble a little bit. It's easy enough when you're resting on the splash pan of the wheel. And I'm probably going to make flat lids for these. Have everything right with you when you're working on something this size so you don't have to run to the sink or something to get something, because it's, you got to keep your eye on it. I can dry this very quickly with the heat gun behind me if it started to get wobbly. See if I can narrow it just a touch more. As soon as it drags, that's when you know you've got to let go a little bit. Because any drag, it's very thin in the wall all the way down now, except for the join area, which I still have thicker on the inside. Take a look at it, make sure your profile is what you want. We're getting there. So I'm pressing with my forefinger down and also pushing inwards. And that's probably what I'm looking for now. Yeah, because we've got a nice tall edge just like the other one. So I'm going to now work with the rib. These are those flexible metal ribs, so you can curve it a little bit if you want to. Dragged a little bit of clay off. I'm looking at the other one to see whether I've got close to what I had on the other one, because I'm trying to make two fairly matching urns. Now I squeeze the water out so it doesn't dribble down the piece either, but I'm going to try to compress that top. That's the edge that I used to cut in the first video, I think, when I was joining them together, the second video maybe. And so as I was cutting through, I may not have been totally even. So the bottom has got some little bumps in it where it was a little thicker. But it's not bad. So I'm not going to cut it. I'm just trying to compress it so the clay is fairly even. Because I do want to have a lid on this. And I'll probably put a wooden board on it just to tap down to actually. It's very similar to the other one at the top. The other one kind of curves in a little bit. This one curves downwards in, the other one curves out a little bit. So what I'm going to do is compress the outer edge. That's better. Alrighty. It's a gorgeous day outside today. Sun's shining compared to yesterday when I started this video. We had a storm yesterday. That's always what happens in Nova Scotia. We get we're the tailpipe of North America. And so all the storms come up the coast. Mostly anyway, and they call them nor'easters. Yeah, and that's good for that. So, yeah, the other one has a little groove in it that's a bit more defined, so let's do that. Alright, I don't know if you can see the other one in the shot, I think you can. So now I have to use my rib to define the top area. It's a little bit less defined on this one. slightly different in shape on the top. I'm not going to let that ruin my life, but the other one has a flat area, which I could do maybe by doing this. Yeah, that's closer. I'm trying not to drag too much clay off because it's not that thick at the top there. And then we have that really strong line in. This is my old wooden rib from, I got this 30-40 years ago in England. It's what they called tempered masonite back in those days, I think. Which just means oiled masonite. It's just a little wooden rib. You could make these if somebody has got some hardwood. You wouldn't have to use the oil on it if you were using hardwood. Okay, I think we've got it. All right, I'll have to just sponge it smooth a little bit. So there you go. I got two jars that are very similar in size. This one, my guess is about an inch taller than the other one. But the tops and the bellies are very similar. But this I threw second, and that one I threw first. So basically, that's the one I was doing in the Zoom session, which I did with the Potters Guild. And this one is the part on top, is the bit that I joined on top. This is like 25 pounds of clay down here, and this part up here was 7 pounds of clay, because that was what they asked us to throw during the Zoom, 7 pounds of clay. So the next final video will be joining handles on these, which I don't know if I can do today. I think I could later in the afternoon, so maybe I'll have another video. This could be a 5-part video. Alrighty, well, thank you very much. This is Vaughan in Nova Scotia in Canada, and Westcote Bell Pottery. And I'm on Facebook as well under Vaughan L. Smith, or just Vaughan Smith anyway. Thanks very much. Bye.